Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Kaiser Gaming, and welcome back to Age of Mythology Retold. In today's video, I've got a really fun match that I want to share with you guys. Honestly, I thought this one was an absolute blast, and it wasn't just fun. I found myself learning a lot about the game. I learned a lot about how to play Freyr, and I learned a lot about how to play Age of Mythology and some of the strategies and tactics that are available to us AOM players. So if that sounds like fun, I encourage you guys to hit that like and subscribe button and buckle in, because this is going to be a fun match. As you can see on your screen, this is a Norse matchup. We have, in the blue, the Cheese Griller, playing as Thor. Honestly, the more I look at that name, the hungrier I get. I love a good grilled cheese sandwich, so I applaud the choice of name, but we'll leave the realm of blue over here. In the red, yours truly, playing as Freyr. Now, if you've not seen my previous video on the Universal Norse build order, I encourage you to check that out. That was an awesome video to make. I've had a lot of fun theory crafting that build order, and that is the build order that I am following right here. I played this match while trying to find, good battles and, really labbing out that Universal Norse build order. And that's why I'm playing Freyr in this match. The idea of the build order, I wanted to make sure that this was a build that any Norse god could use. I didn't want anyone saying the build only worked because of the Odin hunt bonus or the Loki build bonus or whatever, right? And Freyr has no Age 1 bonuses. So that's why I'm playing Freyr, and as I'm playing this match and trying my best to follow my own build order, I think I've got a little bit of idle TC time on accident, forgot to queue up the auto-vil queue option. But as I'm pulling off this build, I'm looking at Thor and I am worried, because I have played matches against Thor and gotten crushed by Thor before. He has the potential to pull off an amazing early game economy. And not just an early game economy, but an economy that is built on the back of the Dwarven Armory, which means his units have those blacksmith upgrades, those armory upgrades, basically right out of the gate. Right, so you've got a really good eco, a really good military in the early game. What an amazing combination, right? So I'm thinking, how can I try to find damage on Thor, right, as Freyr? Because as I'm playing Freyr, I have this build order in mind, but I'm not exactly sure how to leverage that build order into good damage. Speaking of, let me just highlight. All right, we clicked up at the 2-minute 47-second mark, which was a little late for what my build order can pull off. I'd say in my own practice, I'd say 2:38 is probably the fastest time that I've gotten so far. I'm sure you can get a little faster than that. But 2:38, got the temple down, and I think it's in a good position to try to find some damage. My opponent, meanwhile, the one thing about Thor, if you're going to take advantage of that superior economy and that armory, you're going up later, right? And my opponent does not even have a temple up yet. So I'm trying to think, what are my options, right? Well, I've got the Draugr out already. I've got my temple. And you can see here, I'm queuing up a couple Herseer. I love queuing up a few Herseer right out of the gate. There's a combination of, for one, you're going to run into at least one myth unit, right? So having that hero out and running around is a good idea. But then two, getting military out to help you build the Longhouse or build the Great Hall, right? Get your military buildings out and get that damage going. That's a really great idea. And I'm trying to think, what are my options? I played a match against Thor before where I tried raiding cavalry, and it just didn't work for me. I found that I was taking more damage than I was dealing. And even with a couple of dwarf kills, it ultimately proved insufficient. I couldn't leverage it. So, a little bit gun-shy when it comes to the raiding cav, at least so early in the game. But then I had read something about how some people play Freyr, and it gave me an idea. What if I can find my opponent's gold and then basically castle drop my opponent in Age 2 with the power of Ula and his Asgardian Bastion. We've got an early fight going on right here, and this is great. You know, I mean, even if this fight goes even, my Bastion is in the background just slowly building itself without a problem. This, by the way, is why I picked up the throwing axes. I think they're great for eliminating the enemy Herseer. And because I'm not really trying to get into my opponent's base, but just protect my own fortification here, my hill fort, I find that those ranged units are a really nice pick. So I think my opponent might be panicking a little bit here, trying to find damage. Boom, I'm getting those ice bolts in, I'm getting those throwing axes in. And you better believe that Herseer is going down. And now, because I've won the fight, I can just go over there and use my army to get that hill fort up even faster. Take a look at the map, okay? My opponent's on gold here. Not for long, right? That's gonna force Thor into moving out into the map. And he's got gold. Well, he's got gold kind of behind my hill fort. I'm gonna say that's really not an option for him anymore. He's got these other two gold piles, which are available, but I think that Thor sort of relies on this defensive chestnut that is his base. He wants to make his base hard to crack open. And if he's forced to go out into the exposed gold piles, that is where something like the raiding cab or my better army can really put out serious damage. I mean, even now he has more autonomy, right? But the pressure, the momentum is all on my side. And he just doesn't really know what to do with these units. I'm picking up a lot of favor, finding a lot of damage. This temple will go down. And using the hill fort like this is just an amazing play. Now, one thing I will say that my opponent misplayed on. I think Cheese Griller maybe does not have as much experience with Thor as he could, because he does have the option of using his Dwarven Mind power to place that on the town center, you know, right over here maybe, and keep the gold flowing for at least a little while. I think that would have been very helpful for him, but even then, that gold runs out sooner or later. I bank on more fighting, and then, you know, then he's forced into what really he's doing right now. I mean, he's calling it a little early here. Cheese Griller throws down the healing spring, hoping that that will be enough to swing the tide of these fights.
Yow.
Yow.
Now, I do not have any Heerdman out. No, take that back. I do have Heerdman out. I've got a good mix of units. So that's one of the reasons why he is having such a hard time pushing this back. I'm not going all in on one unit that can be easily countered. I've got a little bit of everything. 33 favor right now to my opponent's 22. And meanwhile, over here, I happen to see the dwarves. I send some bills forward, and I catch this, and I say, what an opportunity. These dwarves go down. And he doesn't realize it. He doesn't realize it. He's so focused on what's happening up here. This misplay is, I'm excited to share this, because it's not just a random, you know, oops, you know, kind of a mistake here from Cheese Griller. It was part of the plan. This was part of the strategy. You can use things like towers or like an army. You can push an opponent off of that inner gold, forcing the economy into uncomfortable, vulnerable positions to then find loads of damage. And now, Frere is in a commanding lead. Not only do I have 6 more economy, I also have, currently, a lot more army as well. Driver goes down. The throwing axe, they're going to take some hits. And meanwhile, I am using these vills that I converted into berserks to build a settlement on the other side of Freyr's base, of Thor's base, I should say. And I will say, even as I'm kind of highlighting just how excited I am about showing off this Asgardian hill fort strategy, I could have pushed this further. Because I found the dwarves here, got lots of kills. His only option left, really, is to go down here. And if I had thought about that, if I had realized it, I could have done even more damage. But at this point, I mean, I'm thinking about the next stage in the game. I'm not really trying to think about raids. I'm thinking about, how am I going to leverage my superior position into siege. So I don't really think to do this, and that's a misplay on my part. Like right here, take these guys, they're sort of forced to back up anyway. He can't fight this. Just, if I could swing around, that would have been huge for us. Either way, I am in a good position. My opponent has Bragi queued up as the next technology, the next big age up. I, for one, am trying to continue to apply the pressure. I don't want to let off the gas. So more Berserks going in here. Berserk's not anti-cavalry, but they are really good as just all-around fighters. If they can get into range, it won't do bad, especially when you take the time to pick up your armory upgrades, you pick up your, well, I was gonna say pick up your unit upgrades, but I actually don't have the unit upgrades yet, so these Berserks go down. At this point, 15-ville lead for red, and a 7 military lead as well. And all of that, again, I'm highlighting this again, because I don't think it's as flashy as one might expect, but the hill fort strat, you don't just need to use that defensively. You can go on the offense, you can shut down key choke points, even in your enemy's base, and use that to cause your enemy to trip up and win the game from there. Idalir, enabling portable rams and age early. So I'm thinking I'm in a really good spot in age 2. Why don't I just try to end the game here in age 2, right? I don't really need the game to go late. I've already got an amazing position. Uller gives me this incredible siege potential. I've got better units. Let's just try to fight it. So, Idalir coming in. Let's use that and then try to get some rams out. Now, I will say another thing that I think I did wrong here, and I would encourage any of you guys playing Age of Mythology to keep in mind as well. As we see a little bit of a dance here from this mule cart. Anyway, okay. So, one thing that I made a mistake on is forgetting to use my favor. That's 58 favor just sitting in the bank, and I could turn that into some serious mythological powerhouse, right? I think that would afford quite a few Draugr to support the throwing axemen and the berserks here, because they cost wood. I've got loads of wood, and they cost favor, and I have the favor. This healing spring, it is helping, right? But it's not the game changer that Cheese Griller is hoping it will be. Alright, here we go. The copper upgrades are coming in finally. So that earlier fight with the Berserks, really, my opponent trying to get some damage in. It's a good rate. I love the tactic that Cheese Griller is pulling off here. This is a good move. This is the right play. When you're in this position and you cannot take a head-on fight, try to fight where your enemy isn't. And see if you can find damage. So I really like the play. Ultimately, I think he got 2 vills. In comparison to what's kind of been pulled off against him, it's really not that much damage. He's in a difficult spot now for sure. The hard thing for Cheese Griller here, this is kind of obvious. Even though he's fighting basically in his own base, he's fighting under the shadow of this hill fort. So every time he tries to engage on it, his units are just taking arrow fire from the hill fort. There's a place I can always retreat back to. There's a place that my infantry can garrison in. Yeah, and Yeah, his army goes down. This is tough. My opponent just really having a hard time trying to get to age 3. It's not happening. He's got to put out more military, and I agree with him. I mean, he can't afford to sit back, put all those resources into age 3 and be defenseless. He's got to get an army up to try to push this back. But I'm now massing up units. I'm waiting. I'm biding my time to pick up the technologies. Cool. Got some idle eco here. I don't blame him. Okay, attacking now on the other side. Actually, when I say attacking, these are just gatherers. I was just collecting the hunt. And you can see that the problem with raiding cav, I mean, they're very vulnerable. I think they need some upgrades. Maybe picking up the upgrade in the Great Hall for your raiding cav makes them significantly better. But out of the gate, I find them very squishy, even against other bills. Here we go. The big attack now. We've got 4 portable rams on the town center, backed up by an army. The armor is in. For the kid, for the throwing axe. I'm down to 2 rams. Down to 1 ram. And that town center is going down. He is now without ATC. He's got half the economy. Thor has half the eco frere. The army is weaker as well. Cheese Griller calls the GG. I remember him saying, lol, GG, well played. You know, really nice guy. And that is the game. So, just a really cool showcase of, ultimately, Ullr as a minor god. Really cool. I think combining the Asgardian Bastion is awesome. One thing I didn't show in this video is the tech that allows you to recast the Asgardian Hill Fort at a significant favor discount. That would have been really amazing and very helpful. You could throw multiples of these across the map and try to pincer in your opponent. Maybe throw them onto these gold piles that I was describing earlier. But an amazing god power coupled with the unique tech letting you get out siege in age 2 is something your opponent may not expect, and that can lead to you just snowballing a lead into dominating fashion. And I thought this was a really fun showcase of my battle against a Thor player and how maybe that signals a way that you can tackle Thor in your own games. I definitely don't advise you play passive. Don't let him sit back and build a whole bunch of dwarves and armory upgrades and just outboom you. You want to take the fight to him, and this is one really fun way of doing it. Guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, consider hitting that like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate you guys to do that. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser signing off. Have a great one out there.